Hello and welcome to the Climate Blue Podcast Q&A live on YouTube. I'm your host, Dan Rolinson, joined by John Townley for this one. John, I've been here a few minutes before you reading some of the comments before we started, and I starred a few that I wanted to read in our Q&A, and they've all been unstarred as we've started. So while you introduce yourself, allow me to read through them again very quickly. How's things, mate?
Introduce myself. Yeah, I'm doing well. I had a day off today because it was my mum's birthday, which was nice.
Nice.
A couple of early shout outs as well. One's kind of related.
Your
I
mum.
was in next. Yeah, shout out to my mum. Happy birthdays in the comments, please. And shout out to Rob, who wished her a happy birthday. Saw him in next. Very briefly spoke about Villa. And to Roger as well, who I saw yesterday. So yeah, a couple of shout outs to start.
Nice.
So yeah, no, I had a nice day, and yeah, ready to attack. Well, how many games have we got coming up? I've lost where we are. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 4 games in the space of just over a week, and then and then 2 Champions League games and Brentford. Yeah, it's going to come thick and fast. But we're here mostly to talk about. Well, not mostly, partly to talk about what a disappointing weekend it was.
Yeah, we've got a few bits and pieces to talk through before we get into questions. I put a post out on social media yesterday saying we were doing this live, so I have got some questions in front of me, but we'll do some from the live chat as well. To start with, from the live chat from Jay Collett, about to ruin your evening, pal. Any chance Kamara's fit on Wednesday? We just talked about a lot of games in quick succession. Kamara won't be available for any of them. That's a massive blow, isn't it? We spoke about this in the preview to Ipswich, I think, about the fixture congestion, and we'll know whether it was a good or a bad thing if we can successfully navigate it. Or we drop points to somebody we should be beating, and Kamara's got injured for at least 2 weeks, which isn't that bad, but that's probably going to be 4 or 5 games. I think the target is Brentford on the 8th of March, so potentially back for the Champions League first leg. But even so, it's Liverpool, it's Chelsea, it's the FA Cup. I mean, we've talked a lot about how important Kamara is. To not have him available makes all of those fixtures much more difficult.
Yeah, like it's obviously not a big injury at all, but as you say there, we've just got so many games to play, and this is part of Villa's reasoning of why they're so angry and frustrated. This fixture list that we've been given, it's ridiculous. I don't know why this Liverpool game has to be played on the Wednesday. And as I said before in previous episodes, we were saying under the lights, a few home games in a row, that's great, but yeah, when you do think about it, it doesn't make any sense. The amount of games that we've been asked to play is just stupid. You're seeing some teams like Man United, everyone's laughing at Man United because their bench was so bad and they spent so much money. Yeah, but it's because they're playing so many matches and they've got Victor Lindelof on the bench and that's it. That could happen to us in a few weeks if we're not careful. Like, it's really just, it's a big frustration for Villa, and this is the reason why. You miss a play for 2 weeks for, a bit of a minor injury, really. But that's 5 games. And if we don't win one of the next 2, Champions League is basically done. I'd be saying that. So yeah, we'll kind of go into it a bit more as we go on now about what we need to do, what we can't do to finish in different positions potentially. But yeah, obviously missing Kamara's huge for us. Not good at all. But this is the price that we have to pay for a fixture schedule, which is just mental. So yeah, really frustrating. 2 weeks usually would be missing 1 game, maybe 2. Now it's 4 or 5 matches, and then who do we lose in between those games as well? So yeah, not really a positive start to the podcast, but
well, it's just what we are. Like you say, 2 weeks isn't a bad, or at least 2 weeks isn't a bad injury, but I guarantee somebody else will be injured during that period as well. If it's a midfielder, we're in big trouble. Couple of comments before we get into our talking points. Then Dan Bardell says, "You bottled the 5 p.m. slot. Here he is at the less fancied 7:30." I mean, I'd argue 7:30 is much more popular for podcasting. We'll see in the views, won't we, mate? Who does better? The competition's on now. And Darren says, "What are the odds on a substitution 10 minutes into the podcast? Or there's an injury to the team in the pre-pod warm-up and the Irish fella from the Liverpool grass to fill in at the back?" I mean, yeah, we were facing our own late fitness test, weren't we? To what time could we start tonight? And here we are at 7:30, the more popular slot, I'm sure, for a podcast, of course. But no late fitness concerns from you, pass your medical and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. As I say, I was just out with my mum for dinner and stuff, so no issues with any muscles there. I'm good.
You're also getting some love for your background that you're beating mine now, which my dad said something similar. I mean, yeah, it's just personal taste, isn't it? You can do too much, and you could argue you have, John. Mine's a more subtle approach.
Well, yeah, I think I said to you before. I want stuff that I don't know, like my programs here. That's my that's the favorite part. The rest of it is, but some crappy mugs up there.
I'm gonna get a shirt hung up somewhere, I think. But I mean, the kind of
Yeah. By the
so
way,
do
for people who have given me very kindly given me flags and different things from Champions League games because they all get taken before I can leave the press box and stuff. They are here, by the way, but I don't. They're like I want to keep them in like mint condition, so they're over there. I do appreciate them a lot, and there's one there, but I think that's one that my dad gave me, possibly. Anyway, yeah, they're all down there. So if you've given me anything, it's there. I can see it. I haven't just thrown it away. Yeah, I want to keep it all in mint condition. That's why there's no Champions League programs here because they just want to,
yeah, keep them.
it's maybe in 20 years it'll be like here's the collection of when we won the European Cup for the second time out of 5, something like that.
Yeah, okay, let's not tell people how the sausage is made, but your room now with that background in there, it's not really usable, is it? That space, it's all a bit cobbled together.
If I could show you how it's standing up, it's a great chance we get a fantastic.
It looks good, but the rest of
it could be a fantastic podcast clip of like the whole thing coming down and me slanging my head, and I'll be out for a few weeks. Then you can't call on me for the podcast. Head injury, concussion, substitute, all sorts.
Imagine that John Townley injured from the podcast because his backdrop fell on him. Right, let's not tempt fate. We are live, so yeah, let's hope not. Right. This is the Q&A. We do it every Monday where we can. But before we get into questions, we want to do some European places chat. Now, we've got to preface this because I know what's coming here. We're not at all suggesting that Villa are going to finish 5th or Villa are going to get 65 points or whatever. In fact, probably the opposite. We're about to tell you what's not going to happen. But I can already see the comments coming either in the live chat or afterwards about, oh, look at these two deluded folks still going on about Champions League. What we've done, and we did this a few weeks ago, didn't we, of like the rolling averages of seasons gone by, what you probably need to finish in certain positions. We looked at Villa's points per game at that point, what they probably need to get for the remaining, I think, was it about the halfway point? I think we did it. I think we looked at the first half of the season and what we needed in the second.
Just after the new year, pretty much.
Yeah, and what we said then about what Villa need in terms of points per game, we're nowhere near it. So, everything we spoke about then about, we need to be almost, I think it was 1.9 points a game or something like that. Yeah. We're not even at that at the moment. So, this is not us suggesting that we're about to finish in the top 6, top 5, top 4, whatever. We're just going to tell you what you need to do to get there, almost to kind of rule it out in a roundabout way. That if we were to lose these 2 games this week, we can all say, if we put a run together, but it might be mathematically impossible, almost in 2 or 3 games time. So kind of showing you where we are almost.
Yeah, like I think it's valid more than ever to kind of take stock of where we are, because if we lose to Liverpool and then draw to Chelsea, flip it the other way. If we beat Liverpool and beat Chelsea, it's all in good saying, we're on for Champions League again. Yeah, but actually, like, what do we need to do? And again, I'll just go through it. So basically, I did a piece which was the 10-year averages of points totals from positions 5 to 8. Fourth, we're not big. 4th is a mammoth task. We'd have to lose like once and win basically all of our games. It's not
still
the best way to do this on a live, so sorry if it's kind of just talking about numbers. Not too sure how you want to play this, Dan, but I can just go through basically.
I've got them in front of me as well, so yeah.
Okay, so I'll just run through the numbers. So try and keep pace. It's not that taxing. Anyway, 10-year averages. So 5th position, you need about 68 points. 6th position, 63. 7th, 59. 8th, 55. I include 8 because 8th would be Conference League if a team in the top 7 win the FA Cup. And is that it? Oh, and the coefficient, of course. England are in the top 2, but at this stage, highly likely. So 5th place would be Champions League as well. So 8th place, Conference League. 7, 6 would be Europa League. 5 and 4, Champions League. Yeah. So I've kind of gone through some of the numbers there. This is the kind of the more, how does it link to Villa? So for Villa to get 5th in terms of the average points totals, which again is 68 points, Villa are now on 38. So they need, a lot of points. It's around 30, which would be 9 wins out of 13 matches. That ain't gonna
10
happen.
wins.
Yeah, so I've been that pessimistic about it. I've done the wins and then a couple of draws here and there. Even then, you're looking at you'd go unbeaten then pretty much, wouldn't you? So I don't think
10
that's going to
wins
be
and 3
happening.
defeats will get you 30 points, or 9 wins, 3 draws, 1 defeat, which I mean, it's probably less likely, isn't it? Because you've got to go basically unbeaten.
Yeah,
But
and
to win
this,
10 out of 13 when we've won 5 in 17, I'm not saying it's not going to happen because I don't like that. Oh, let's just write off the season then. But when we've been on the form that we've been on so far, we're not going to win 10 out of 13. And if we do, prove me wrong. I'd love that. Matt, I'd love to click this up at the end of the season and go, oh, look at them 2 idiots saying we'd never do it, because it's massively against the odds
but
that we would
no
do.
one, no one's. Maybe there's a few people in the chat backing us to win 10 or 11 out of 13, but that could be ended by Saturday. You know, we've got to be level-headed with this. The only thing I would say is that before we played West Ham, so after we beat Leicester, basically, I was still of the mindset of, well, if we win, 4 of the next 5 games, what I've just said there about winning like 9 out of 13, it would have then been 7 out of 13 or something like that, and that would be Villa can do that because they've just gone on a good run beforehand.
Much.
But we didn't beat West Ham. We lost 2-0 at Wolves. We didn't beat 10-man Ipswich. Those are the games you have to win. And we said it before, like Villa, the first half of the second half of the season, good games, like games that Villa can definitely win. And then the second half of the season is your Fulhams, Newcastle's, Nottingham Forest, those matches, Man City away, that's an opportunity potentially. The games that you're playing teams in and around you, Bournemouth away, and then your final 2 games, Spurs and Man United, who may not have anything to play for. That now seems too distant for me. It's in terms of overtaking them for Champions League, it just does. I think we've left ourselves with too much to do now. So I'm not expecting us to finish in the Champions League, and it's the first time I've kind of held my hands up and thought maybe that's too much to do now. And even if we were to beat Liverpool and Chelsea, I'd still be saying I just don't know, because we have difficult games to come, and what we've just seen previously, I just think it's too big of a sample size now to look at us and think all of a sudden we're going to keep 6 clean sheets in our next 9 games, and we're going to score 3 goals a game. Maybe the goal scoring improves because we've got a couple of players through the door, Asensio and Rashford, and they look good and haven't actually started a game yet, but get onto that later. But defensively, whether it's our fault or not, because of injuries, Kamara is obviously out for a few games now. It just doesn't seem to me it's going to be. I just can't see us all of a sudden fixing our defensive woes, and we're going to go on that run of form that we did in the first season of Unai, the first half, the second half of that season. It wasn't even a full season, but when we kept so many clean sheets, won at 8 of 10 or something, lost 2, but then won 2 of the last 3 and drew at Liverpool and could have won that game. That's like an incredible run of form that gets you from 14th to 7th, and that's Champions League form, nearly title winning form. We've now got to do that again now, but what we know is we have an injured team. We don't really have many defenders that we can call on. We're conceding goals. We're not scoring them at a rate in which you'd suggest that we can win every game 4-2. It just doesn't feel right to suggest me sitting here now thinking, well, we can still do 9 out of 13 wins, to get a couple of draws or whatever it may be to get us in and around that average position mark. And again, this is only based on the averages, so it could be lower, but it just feels very competitive. Yeah, so that's kind of my Champions League bit out of the way, and I'll just kind of wrap up the 6 and 7. So hopefully Europa League spots. Villa to finish 6th would need another 25 points, so not far off what they need for 5th. So that would be, you're talking like 7 wins, 8 wins, 7 wins and a few draws.
I mean, even that sounds quite a lot at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because we've only got 13 games left. The season isn't closing on. Well, it is closing on us now. We played once in March. When you get to April, that's when I kept saying you have to be in the conversation for those positions. And maybe we will be, because we get a result against Liverpool and Chelsea, but we've still got a massive task to go to Bournemouth away, City away, Newcastle at home, Forest at home. If you had like 1 or 2 of those games, then great. But we've got all of those games, plus Champions League potentially, plus an FA Cup, hopefully. Look, there's so much to cram in and pack in, and we don't have a fully fit team. So it's going to be really difficult. 6th, around 8 wins. 7th, you're looking at 6 wins and 3 draws,
pretty
or
much
7
1
wins.
win less, isn't it, for each position down, give or take?
Pretty much, yeah. So put it this way, to make it a bit simpler. If Villa win half of their games left, that would put them in a position where it's kind of 7th to 6th. So hopefully Europa League, if Villa win half the games. That to me still feels like, not to be too pessimistic, because I don't think I am usually. Well, maybe I am, but that in itself, that seems like a task in which I'd be like, okay, if Villa win half of their games now, they'd be kind of knocking on the door of the Champions League. But that isn't the case, because we've just left ourselves too much to do. You have to beat West Ham. You have to beat Ipswich. You can't take 2 points from 3 games against Ipswich, West Ham and Wolves, 3 of the bottom 5. Unfortunately, that's just not good enough, which is a shame because part of it is our fault, part of it isn't, injuries and different variants and stuff. So yeah, it's a shame, but kind of it's a bit of a rant here. Sorry about this, but at the end of it, it might be easier for us to kind of swallow it at the end of this week. Hopefully, we've won against Liverpool and Chelsea, and we can kind of keep the dream alive. If that isn't the case, or saying like a few weeks' time it isn't the case, that we know we're not going to get Champions League, like pretty much for a fact, we can at least accept it, and then accept that FA Cup gives you Europa League and of course a trophy, and that's our kind of limit this season. If we win half the games, you finish sixth or in and around that position, hopefully. Again, that's only based off the 10-year averages, but that's to kind of paint the picture of where we are, what we still need to do, because Europe isn't even a given yet, which I'll be honest, I kind of took for granted. I thought, oh, we finish above Brighton, finish above Fulham, finish above those teams, that'll be okay. It's just, can we punch a bit higher and maybe nab fifth from under Newcastle's nose or something? I know it's kind of like, because it's here and now, and we're below those sides, apart from Brighton, only a point ahead of them. But it feels like that's our competition right now. I know that sounds obvious, but even at the end of the season, that might still be the case because of everything that we've got going for us still. Forest, Newcastle not playing in Europe. I know we might not be as well after, or if we get knocked out in the next round or the round after that. But yeah, it kind of just paints the picture kind of about what we would need to do. I don't see some of those teams slowing down either. I think Forest has slowed down a little bit, but they're 8 points ahead of us or something. It's a big gap already. So, yeah,
we were saying, we were saying when we're going to have to beat the sides around us to even give ourselves a chance. And talking about if you win half your games, you might have a chance of 6th or 7th in the Europa League. Yeah. If you were to, this sounds stupid, I know I'm going to get comments like, "Oh, you're an idiot." If we did beat Liverpool and Chelsea this week, you've won, probably a third of the games you need to win this week. So then you only need to win like 4 out of 10, which, okay, that just sounds more doable now rather than winning 6 out of 13. Stupid, I know, but if you can do it quicker, you've got more time to make another mistake here and there, but still do it. The longer it goes on, the less likely it's going to be, obviously.
Yeah.
I saw an article on BBC Sport this morning that Opta tracking 5th place this year with an expected points total of 64 as opposed to the 68 10-year average. So again, maybe it's 1 win less that you need, but it's still a massive task.
Yeah, that's the kind of next point I was going to raise of like, this is 10-year averages. So there might be 1 year where it goes up and 1 year it goes down in terms of, that's fine. But I think it just paints the picture of what we still have to do. Potentially the points go down, but we're still in a position where we need to win, 80% of our games or something in the last 13. It's still a huge task for it to do. And as I say, the simple facts are, we don't keep clean sheets. What we kept, is it 3 in the league this season? I think. Would you bet that we do keep another?
Not at the moment, no.
Like, do you? I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But that's a crazy situation itself.
We probably need to keep 5 or 6.
Yeah, and goals may not be an issue. So that's like not, the big. But you look at our goal difference, and it is the case of, well,
we spoke about this.
If we finish 5th this season from now, we're just gonna have to put a fantastic run of form together, and something that I can't envisage having, not just seeing our performance levels, it's our results too, but the injuries, but everything else that we've got going on. And again, this isn't me being like, oh, it's a bad season. I said at the start of the season, I would snatch your hands off for European football and a run in the Champions League. We've already got a run in the Champions League. We're in the last 16, and European football, got a great chance of getting that still. You've still got work to do. But that, again, for me, that's fine. It's just painting the picture of, well, our main target this season, which was Champions League again, is kind of slipping away from us now because of recent weeks and recent results. And again, we can make that up a little bit by beating Chelsea and Liverpool. But even then, you've still got to then get yourselves up for those home games. And it's not going to get easier now. Villa, as I kind of mentioned just then, got to go away to Brighton, away to Palace, away to Bournemouth.
Tough games, yeah.
Away to City as well. At home to Liverpool, at home to Chelsea, at home to Fulham, at home to Newcastle, at home to Forest. And again, opportunities to get those teams above you, but you want them sporadically and with a week's rest.
Yeah.
It just seems like a mammoth task for a squad that's already been kind of bashed around by injuries. And Tielemans has
And we'll
started every
continue
game.
to do so as well.
Exactly.
We'll get more injuries, of course we will.
We have no other midfielder at the moment. Hopefully, Emery will give an update on Barkley, but that's one that's been longer than expected. Anana's been injured again. Kamara's now injured. So McGinn and Tielemans are your two for X amount of time. It's
Every
just
game, 90 minutes.
It's just not. None of this is ideal at all. And again, I really don't want this to kind of come across as like too negative. We're just saying that we don't think Villa will achieve. Or I'm saying I don't think at this point, as I did previously, that Villa will achieve their main objective this season. But that, again, I just think European football, considering what happened to Newcastle years before or last year, was that last season? Well, we've always played more games than them as well. I don't want this to come across as negative. We're just trying to paint a picture, which obviously doesn't sound too positive right now. But again, we've failed to beat 10-man Ipswich. It's hard to paint a positive picture after that, really.
Yeah. Let's counter that then with a couple of comments. Kevin says, Townley showing his inexperience. Don't write Villa off just yet. Well,
yeah.
Jay
but
says,
I'm going this. If I came here and said, no, I still think we'll get Champions League. I think we're going to win 9 out of 13 or 8 out of 13.
Yeah, you get people saying you're deluded.
Based on what?
Yeah.
Right now, based on what? We lost to Wolves. We couldn't beat Ipswich at home. We couldn't beat West Ham at home. We dropped points to Palace. We dropped points to Bournemouth in the 95th minute. Dropped points home to Man United in Ten Hag's last games. Like, this isn't the season for me anyway. Right now, where I look at this and think, oh yeah, we're the 4th best team in England. Last season it was, but I think we made that jump so quickly. We were so good that it now feels kind of too easy for us to be like, oh, we're not that team anymore. What it should have been is this season, last season.
Yeah.
How do I put this? And then last season, this season, or next season, sorry. Like, it's Conference League, Europa League, Champions League. We were in Conference League, semi-final, injuries, 3 ACLs, to 4th in a title race in Christmas. That's incredible. Like, we could not have done any better there. We were absolutely battered by the end of it, and we got over the line. Fantastic. This season, we were always going to take a bit of a dip. And right now, we're still in the conversation, which is fine. But I'm just laying the picture out a little bit.
I would love this, because there's always a point when we go through the season where we'll title a video something like Villa, what did we say not long ago? Villa in the chase for top 4 or whatever. And then we won a couple of games. It was like, I see, like we were right to stay positive for a bit. I would love this to be the episode where we're like, I think it's done. And in a few weeks' time, we've beaten Liverpool, beaten Chelsea, and we go, actually, there's a chance here. Yeah. Jay says, can Villa win 7 in a row? Absolutely. This squad is very good. I love the optimism, but I don't see many teams winning 7 in a row in the Premier League. Never mind this Villa side.
What's the most amount of games that we've won in a row this season? It must have been at the start. I was going to make a quick point then. Just gone on my mind. Sorry.
I'll go. There's a comment from John Doran, our favourite commenter, not Duran, Doran. Given that everyone is beating everyone, are the figures for European qualification likely to be lower than normal? Potentially, yeah. It might be,
and again, that's
one win less than you expect it to be. I've got some other fixtures in front of me, because I kind of look at ours and think, we've got some tough sides to play. But we're at a stage of the season, I know you've got a point to make, sorry. We're at the stage of the season where there's still 13 games left. That most sides are going to have still a lot of tough fixtures to play, because you're still playing half the league, really. 13 left for us. Like Forest, for example, they got to play Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, us, Man United, and Spurs. Similar to us, same kind of fixtures. Obviously, ours is a tough run. I think the easiest running of the teams that I've looked at is a bit of a dark horse, actually, given how good they've been as well. It's Bournemouth. Yeah. They've got Wolves, Brighton, Brentford, Ipswich, West Ham, Fulham, Palace, Leicester. Like, they got a couple in there with us, Villa, us, Man City, and Arsenal. But you look at somebody like Bournemouth as maybe having an outside chance of it at the moment, but their fixtures look more favourable than others. Chelsea will still have some tough games. Newcastle will. They'll be playing each other. We play a lot of them as well. So, yes, potentially it will be less, but you're still asking us to put a run together of 8 wins out of 13 or 9 and a couple of draws. It's still a lot to do, and I'd love to be wrong, but I think it might be over. I'm talking top 5 here. I think the Europa League is definitely still doable, because it's a couple of wins less. And that's a big ask at the moment, given the performances that we're seeing.
Yeah, well, firstly, that a lot of teams competing, and therefore maybe it's a lower points tally. There's also a lot of traffic, meaning that we're going to have to finish above Chelsea, Bournemouth, Newcastle, City, who else? Fulham. It's just a lot to do. I remember last season when I think we had like 7 games of the season remaining, and I went back in any kind of 7-game sequence. How many points did we pick up? Like the maximum and least amount of points. I think we picked up the joint least amount of points in 7-game sequence or something in the last 7 to previously in the season and the season before. It would have been like a record number of low points taken from 7 games, basically, for us to have dropped out of Champions League. If I flip that now, obviously I haven't done that maths quickly, because I'm not great at maths myself, but I'd be staggered if it wasn't kind of a record high from at one point in last season. The last time we won more than 2 games in a row in the league was when we beat Leicester, Everton, and Wolves back in August. So the longest winning run we've had in the league this season is 3 matches, which is again Leicester, international break, Everton. I think then we played Young Boys potentially, and then we beat Wolves. So
even if you had 3 defeat, that wouldn't be enough.
Yeah, in terms of like the data behind it, it's just we're gonna have to put a staggering run of form together compared to what we've just done. Put it that way. Like Villa have done this run of form before. Again, when you and I first came in, when it was last season, fantastic. But we're talking based on this season because this is quite clearly a different Villa. Not not a lot worse, certainly not better, but still, again,
just different.
To only have won 2 games in a row, twice by the way, since August. That's just not. Yeah, like Leicester, Everton, Wolves.
If this wasn't a Villa thing, and we all take off our.
You can also talk about John Duran in that run as well. Sorry, just like the Leicester game got over the line in that. Really, Everton, of course, we got over the line in that. Wolves, I think it was a 90th minute goal, and then Conser scored in the 12th minute about a time, I think, or the other way around. Sorry, I think Duran scored in the to make it 3rd, and then you draw, win, draw, lose, draw, lose, win, lose, draw, win, draw, lose, draw. It's just. You're now going to have to win, draw, lose, win, draw, something like that. And it doesn't make sense.
It isn't going to happen.
It's going to have to be a staggering run of form.
I mean, it's possible. I don't like to rule things out when it's still mathematical. I get all that. But if you flip it another way and take off our biases towards Villa, everyone here watching, most of them anyways, or listening, is a Villa fan. They want us to do well. Of course they do. So do we. We are, I think, really positive all the time, and it takes a kind of a turning point to go, okay, maybe not. Maybe there's that seed of doubt, and it's probably going to be a really difficult job to do it. If you flip it and think where Forest are, or Chelsea, or Newcastle, that was us of last year. They're the ones that are in there at the moment. Not as a bigger points gap that we had at certain positions, but if you kind of rebadge everything, and we're Man United of last year. The crap goal difference, floating around 8th, never really being good enough, but getting the odd result here and there. What did we think of Man United last year? They won't put a run together. They might, but they won't. They're not good enough for that. That's us now. We've got no evidence of this season to put a run together. We could, of course, and if we are going to put a run together, we keep saying, don't we, like, well, if we could put a run together and get some results, that's now. That's Liverpool onwards. We have to win Wednesday or draw Wednesday and win Saturday. Like, we have to do that now. There's no there's still, we'll see where we are in April. But I have to start getting there 9 or 10 wins now. Not like, we'll kick it down the road and see what happens. We're Man United of last year. As difficult as that is to say.
I'm going to push back on it a little bit. I'm not going to say we're Man United because I think they were particularly bad, and they were.
But like having that thing like, they're like behind our shoulder, and they concern us a little bit. Yeah. I don't think Forest will be looking at Villa and going, "Oh, I'm concerned that Villa might catch us."
This is something I mentioned in my. I was walking around Witton after the game and doing a video, and I mentioned something like that of Newcastle have lost a few games recently. Forest have lost a few games recently. And I remember us last season when we did that, and it was always the case of, what did Spurs do? They just made 3 points up. Oh, they drew. Oh, so the gap is still 8 points. It's still 6 points. It's still, maybe not to Spurs, but to other teams, like Chelsea, for example, or whoever it was. And that's the same feeling that Newcastle, they'll be enthused that, we've dropped points, but we're still 3 points ahead of Villa. That's 1 whole win plus goal difference, which is better.
Yeah.
So, again, we play Newcastle at home. So if we're 3 points away from them, if we beat them, we're level on points. So it's, what I've just said kind of goes out the window. But then there's traffic, and we have to then put another run of form together either side of those games to keep pace with Newcastle if they continue to do well. So, I don't think we're like, and I'm not saying you saying this, Dan, but Man United in terms of what they were. But in terms of outsiders for that conversation, I think that is us now, which I don't think it was a few weeks ago. because we had the fixtures that we had coming up.
Yeah.
But now we know we've got a really difficult run of games. And, Liverpool at home, under the lights, bring it on. Like, I'm not saying that's a free hit at all, but I feel like that could bring the best out of Villa. Same for Chelsea, under the lights.
Yeah, we're generally
by
better
5:30.
against the good teams.
Get
results, but we perform better.
Yeah. And then you've got to get up for Palace. And then you've got to get up for Brentford away, either side of playing your Champions League games, potentially, Dortmund, and then Dortmund and Brentford in between, who don't take no prisoners at the G-Tech. It's, the FA Cup.
Don't take prisoners at the G-Tech.
Come on, they don't. But that's my point. And last season, I'd be backing us to go there and getting something, and we did. But just, again, it feels a little bit different now. And that is not a criticism. It's just, that's what we are. If we got Champions League back to back, incredible. Like, genuinely, that hasn't really been seen before in terms of competing in the competition as well. So none of this is a criticism in terms of, we're not going to get Champions League again and we haven't been good enough. Yeah, we haven't been good enough to get the Champions League. We might be good enough to get the Europa League, which we then could win next season. Yeah, if you look at the teams that are in it this year, Bilbao, Lazio, if we not concentrate on that competition, but if we were in that, I'd back us to win it. That's Champions League next season. So none of this is in like a negative frame of mind. It's just, I think I'm relatively level-headed in terms of trying to just view what we are, where we are. Yeah, I thought we'd be better off than where we are now in terms of in the league before these run of games that we've just had. But again, 2 points out of 9 against 3 of the bottom 5 is just simply not good enough. We're then going to have to make that up by winning, 3 or 4 matches that you probably wouldn't have expected us to in the second half of the season, on top of, getting stuff at Palace, getting it at Brighton. All these teams that are going to, they're not going to give us a yard. So, yeah. Can we go on to the questions? Sorry for ranting for half an hour.
I knew. I've split it in my mind. First half, we'll do a chat. Second half, we'll do some questions. So let's get into some of these then. Ricardo says, missing chances and wasting excellent attacking situations that should lead to high-quality chances and goals has been a bigger problem than the defensive issues, brackets real as they are. Do you agree? Now, just a couple of numbers here, which I'm sure you will be aware of, but maybe some may not be. In February 2024, the games that we played up till that point, we'd scored 52 and conceded 33, had a goal difference of plus 19. In February 2025, we've scored 35, conceded 38, goal difference minus 3. So we've only conceded 5 more, given the defensive injuries we've had, the lack of clean sheets, etc. But we've scored 17 fewer. Now, obviously, Louise had scored, Diaby had scored, and whatnot, and we'll get to kind of goal contributions in a second. But as much as the defensive problems are a thing, it is undeniable that we are scoring less goals. And if we'd scored more goals, we'd have won more games and we'd have more points. So obviously it's an issue.
Yeah, no, for certain. And as I said earlier, it feels too late in the day for us to now all of a sudden keep clean sheets and, be this defensively sound unit that can nick games 1-0.
I reckon it's easier to score more goals than it is to stop conceding them. So
for us,
click your fingers and go, right, okay, we do create chances. If we can start scoring them somehow, we'll concede 2, but we will score 3.
Yeah, for us, certainly. I know I just said nick 1-0s. We did it against Everton, but in terms of regularly throughout the campaign, you know what I mean? Like we did in the first season of Emery. That kind of, what you just said there sort of brings me a little bit back to Ipswich of, we could have won that game 3-1. And
it wasn't that bad, was it?
No, and I think it's just because it's Ipswich and it's 10 men. It's easy to kind of slate the performance. And we should beat them. But the game plan kind of goes out the window when you're down to 10 men. So, for Ipswich, which changes our game plan of how we approach it and what we're looking at and how we're breaking down a team. Again, Villa should be beating that team. There's no excuse not to have won that game. But the keeper has played a blinder. On another day, we would have won it. And scored 3 goals. And if we had
people don't like to hear about,
if we had gone in the lead, and that's fine. To be fair, like I totally agree with that. But it's more of a, I forgot what you mentioned now. But anyway, in terms of attacking, our best way of winning games is not by being sound at the back and, as you say, working a goal from set piece like an Arsenal would or something. It is by taking the game to the opposition, hoping you score 3 times and you don't concede more than twice. That's just the way that we play. And this is something that I don't like because
Emery.
I'm sure Emery, this is the thing that kind of puzzles me a little bit. We we obviously want the control and we don't want it to be a basketball game, all that sort of stuff. But it feels like 2 seasons, because again, I just don't see this changing in terms of keeping clean sheets now until the end of this season. So pretty much for 2 seasons, we are being pretty open, but at least last season, scoring lots of goals, 3 or 4 at home in lots of games. This season is obviously different. So I just wonder why we are like this. And I know if you sell Duran, you need to bring in 2 forwards, to make up for the goals that we don't have through him. But it just surprised me a little bit that the money we've spent, I know, spent big on Matson, but that's essentially PSR, Fiddle, and a player that we happy to bring in anyway. But the defense just doesn't seem to have changed too much to me. I don't know how you feel about it, but I always thought Emery would be a manager who would kind of step on a solid foundation, and the rest sort of works itself out. And I know that's pretty simple to look at, but it feels like we've done the opposite a bit of. So this forward and this striker and this attacker, bringing this one, that one, and this one. These are different profiles of player. It kind of muddles me a little bit. But
yeah, I think it's trying to embrace what we are in the here and now. Like, we do create chances, so if we can get some finishers in the team that are going to take them, we can fix the problem for here and now. You hear the word pragmatic, don't you, with Emery? More often than not, like he'll want a solid foundation, he'll want that clean sheet, and to kind of be careful and controlled. Emi Martinez should be doing better, and he will absolutely have higher standards of himself than he's had this season. You can't ignore the fact how many times we've chopped and chained at centre half through injury.
It's
10 different combinations.
That's the mitigation.
Now. Of course.
That is the mitigation. Yeah,
you're asking for trouble. Luca Dean, Matty Cash, Garcia, Matson, experience, Disassi, Bogard, Swinkles in the FA Cup game. You're talking about so many different variations of a back line. It's hard to say, oh yeah, they'll sort it out. If you got Kanata, Van Dijk, Trent, Robertson playing every single week in front of Alisson, knowing what they are, different standard and all that, different teams, but they're solid. They always play. It's reliable. Yeah. We haven't had that, to be fair, and I think we're trying to kind of fix. Okay, we haven't got that. We can't really fix it. We do create chances. Rashford will score more than Ramsey. Essentially, will score more than Bailey. Is the thinking?
It's just like even last season, though. even last season, we did have pretty much a secure back four. I know Torres was out for a little period, but more often than not, it was a secure back four. And we were still conceding goals, and we didn't look. We were in control of games, but we conceded from so many crosses. If I'm not mistaken, we were like one of 2 teams to have ever qualified for the Champions League since the Premier League was created, having shipped the amount of goals that we did. I remember doing a stat on it saying, if Villa do get the Champions League, this is going to be like was a record, I can't quite remember, amount of goals conceded while finishing 4th, basically, in the top 4. So, that was never going to be sustainable. We had to shore up at the back this season, and you're right, Dan, Mings coming back, I think kind of shown signs that it was going to help, and maybe it still will. But now, of course, Conte's had a bit of an injury. Cash has picked up injuries. Luca Dean's kind of the only surviving element across this whole period, the most kind of consistent player we've had. So, yeah, again, injuries haven't helped, but just in general, how we set up, and even since last season, I just don't feel secure at the back. But last season, that was okay because you had so many players scoring goals. That isn't, the case this campaign.
Yeah, we'll get onto the scoring goals in a second. Gary wants to know whether you could name those 10 centre-back partnerships. I mean, it's not probably great podcasting, but
no, I think it is.
You could have a good stab, I reckon, but I don't know how entertaining that is for anybody.
All right, Consa, Mings.
I don't have the answer, so yeah.
Oh well, it's got to be Consa, Mings, Powell.
Disassi Mings, Disassi Konsa.
Disassi Mings, Disassi
Kamara.
Disassi made his debut alongside Kamara. Swinkles and Bogard. Kamara, Konsa. That's 8. We're nearly there. I don't want to waste time on this, but I think it's yeah.
But like we said, goals conceded in the league specifically, not much worse than it was at this point last year. So it is goal scoring that is a problem. So we're going to get to everyone's favourite segment now, Ollie Watkins bashing, which I am not for, by the way.
This isn't going to last long.
No. Somebody asked earlier, Jay again, if Watkins was like last year, being clinical, we'd be top 5 easy now. Yeah, I mean, on paper, I kind of get it. I touched on this in the post-match show for Ipswich about, yes, Ollie Watkins misses a lot of chances, right? We all know the figures of most missed chances in the league, whatever it is. I've got us as missing, this is from the Premier League website, the third most big chances behind Chelsea and Liverpool with 53. Ollie Watkins, as our main striker who plays every week, has missed 21 of that 53, which is, that is bad, right? Like, you wanted to score more chances. There is the caveats of not all strikers get that many chances in the first place to miss them. And that is part of Watkins's positives, I think. That I know how that's going to come across. Like, missing chances is a good thing, but getting them is the first thing. He scored 11, I think, in the Premier League. My problem, by the way, the rest of those missed chances, Rodgers has missed 8, McGinn's missed 3, and then 9 players have 2 or less. So, you know, Asensio's missed 1 already, which was in the Ipswich game. Whatever. Ollie Watkins scored 11. John Duran's second top scorer was 7. Obviously, doesn't play for us any longer. And I'm sick of hearing about, oh, we sold the wrong striker. Forget that. He's gone, right? Didn't want to be here. Morgan Rogers has scored 6 in the league. Beyond that, Ross Barkley, injured for however long, got 3. Amadou Onana somehow has played 1,000 minutes, which I can't believe. Scored 2. Konsa, Ramsey, Bailey, Cash, Tielemans on 1. McGinn, 0. Like, it's not good enough from everyone, is it? It's not just an Ollie Watkins thing. Yes, 21 missed chances. If he scored 5 of those, we'd be better off. Of course, I get it. But where's Leon Bailey? Obviously,
who else is on the list of most missed chances?
For Villa?
No, for in the Premier League.
I didn't look at the rest. Have you got them?
I haven't, but I'm definitely sure that Haaland was second and Salah.
It'll be Haaland and Salah, yeah. So it's you can frame it as good players. Good players get chances to miss in the first place. It's not right?
Players. Go on.
You would rather players get the chances. If Ollie Watkins had missed 2 big chances, but that's because he's not involved in the game and he's on 4 goals, you'd go, well, that's the problem. He's scoring them. Yes, he's missing them. And this is going to be, oh, you're defending Watkins far too much. You always stick up for him.
Yeah,
where's the goals from the rest of the team?
If Ollie Watkins
the goals from the rest of the team, though?
It's not, I don't know if people think that people in the media just back Watkins up for some reason. I've never spoken to him outside of this, games or whatever. It's just, I'm not going to entertain it. It's, I need to kind of be balanced with it, so you kind of understand the question. I get it. He's missed the most big chances, but I'm sick and tired of talking about it. I really am. The guy scores goals. He's about to be the club's record goal scorer. He had the most assists in the Premier League last season. I don't know what to say.
Can we also not recognise, why do Arsenal want him then? Why do Spurs want him? Why would Man United probably want him? Teams that we want to be, competing in the same places for want to sign him, but we want to let him go and play a 20-year-old with a bad attitude who didn't want to be here because he might be the best striker in the world. Well, he might not be, Addy.
But the Duran
recognise where Duran has gone and for what reasons. Ollie Watkins is here, back to Villa, supported Villa in terms of stuck with them kind of thing.
Yeah.
As you say, about to become our record striker, massively underappreciated. And I think once he's gone and we replace him, who do you replace Ollie Watkins with, by the way? We said him for 60. We should have taken 60 from Arsenal in the January window. To replace him with who that guarantees goals every single year? He'll miss chances, but he bloody scores them as well, no? I find it utterly bizarre.
So happens to be the striker that everyone was lauding in the summer when he sent England to a major final. In terms of John, if you want to talk about John Duran, I think we sold him for
not really
less. I think no, but if we just want to, I'm not talking about it, but I think we probably sold him for less than what we could have got for him. And I really wanted him to stay. Put that to one side. If we're just talking about Ollie Watkins, this happens every other week. Villa don't pick up the points they need. Oh, and it's Watkins, because if you look on some stats websites, he's got the most missed chances. Yeah, he's also a top scorer. So, and he was last year, followed us to the Champions League. He might win us a trophy this season through his goals. It's just, it does baffle me. It really does. I understand it's there, but it's so easy to just look at big chances missed. Oh, it's a couple more than Haaland. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He should have scored 3 against Ipswich. He didn't get his hat-trick.
If he scored every goal he took,
what do you want from him?
We've said it a million times before.
If Watkins scored every goal that he was going to get in terms of chances, he'd scored 60 goals a season. I don't know. Maybe that's dramatic, but
he's on 11 and he's missed 21. So he should have scored 33 goals in February then already. Obviously not. It's crazy.
And by the way, if he scores that chance he had against Ipswich, and then scores the equaliser, and he wins the game. He's, the conversation of, he's the best striker in Europe again.
Well, he
That's
scored.
what it was last season.
He scored.
You don't
though.
go from, but as in if he takes all of his chances in a game, he's prolific. He's this, is that. And then next week he doesn't miss. It's just, like I don't want to talk about it anymore because I understand the question because the stat is there,
I get it,
but you cannot look at that and then not appreciate everything else that he gives to the team. You just can't because it's too narrow-minded. It's just like, nah, it's not for me. Like, the guy scores goals. He's about to be the record scorer. He will continue to score goals. He may not take every single chance he gets, but why is he getting those chances? Because he's got good movement, because he knows where to be in between the sticks. He follows exactly to the point of what Unai Emery wants from him.
Exactly.
That's all he has to do. If he scores, this might sound crazy, but it's like a bonus if he scores in a game, put it that way. Because
the others should be scoring more as well.
Yeah, but the fundamental point of why he's in the team, yes, scoring goals is important, but it's what he brings to the structure in the team. John Duran scores, 12 goals and 7 starts. Why wasn't he starting over Watkins then at the point in which he comes back into the team? It's because Watkins gives you so much in terms of the structure. Like, it's fundamentally important. It's a non-starter in the conversation. What is the question anyway? What was the question? Do we drop Watkins?
There's a comment here from Danny saying, missing the point, it's costing us points and we're not killing games. I'd argue we'll be on a lot less points without Ollie Watkins.
Precisely that. And
we have one less from the weekend because he was the sharpest to react to Rashford's free kick.
Villa haven't had a Premier League striker score 20 goals since when? We can't now expect a striker to just be scoring 20 goals a season all the time. As you said there, Dan, we need players to contribute and take the load off Watkins. Then all of a sudden, you get in a more confident Watkins that knows he doesn't have to take every single chance. We know that Ollie Watkins isn't the best finisher in European football. No one said he was. I'm not saying he is. But in terms of what he is in terms of a striker for Unai Emery, genuine question, what striker would Unai Emery rather have than Ollie Watkins? Or would you rather have than Ollie Watkins? And be reasonable. Don't just say Haaland. And I'll even counter that and say off the ball, Ollie Watkins is a much better striker.
I wouldn't swap him a first striker in the Premier League.
And don't say something like Osimhen. Just don't say it. Ollie Watkins is exactly what Unai Emery wants and what Villa need. Yeah, he may miss a few chances, but we're just going to have this conversation next week. So I'm not going to...
And it would absolutely matter less if Bailey had scored 10 goals this season and McGinn had scored 5.
Leon Bailey scored
got 3 or 4.
Yeah, Bailey scored once, and I know he's had his criticism as well. If we're talking about goals, don't pile it on Ollie Watkins. Please don't. There's so many other elements to this team that have to contribute more. There's a few players that scored once or twice in a few seasons. The whole thing needs to improve. And again, we've had injuries, we've had different problems. Ollie Watkins is so consistent. One of his best assets is being available.
Like an F1 car.
There's so much not going there again. There's so much to like about the player. If the one thing we're criticising him for is that he doesn't score more goals, then I think there's other issues that we're just not looking at. Do you know what I mean? Because he ticks every other box, apart from not scoring a hat-trick every game, apparently.
But that's, as we said, that's going to happen. The rest of the team has to chip in more. And if Ollie Watkins misses a big chance, but also scores, and then McGinn gets the winner, the big chance is not really relevant because we won the game because the team contributed. And the team at the moment isn't because it's not quite gelling. And I think that's what they've tried to fix in January. They'll hope that Rashford does score 6 Premier League goals and propel them to 6th place. That Essential will chip in with a couple as well. And they'll be better quality players in those positions that when we get a chance, Ramsey's not taking his one.
Can we do it another way and say that
3? Rashford scores the 1 and we win the game.
All right, let's say we have Haaland. We've just bought Haaland for £200 million. Hypothetical, no, we just bought him for £200 million. And we failed to beat Ipswich. Haaland misses a couple of big chances. We'd be saying the same things about Erling Haaland as we are saying about Watkins because he's missed nearly as many big chances as Ollie Watkins. So if you put Erling Haaland, apparently the best goal scorer, probably ever, potentially. If you put him in this Villa team, doesn't work as hard as Watkins, doesn't give you what you want off the ball like Watkins, doesn't make assists like Watkins, doesn't occupy space like Watkins, and still misses those big chances because that's literally what we're looking at. Just text Ollie Watkins, 21, Haaland in the teens or whatever. So Haaland misses these big chances for Villa. Oh, sell him, get rid of him, whatever it may be, drop him. But apparently he's one of the best strikers ever. That's how silly these stats are for me. You have to look at the big picture. If you don't, it's just... your argument falls down for me. It's just my opinion. But again, we'll have those conversations in the next few weeks, I'm sure, because he'll break the record, Watkins, soon. of the Premier League all-time scorer for Villa, and by the way, in a pretty short amount of time as well. We're not talking like a decade. How many seasons? 5, 6.
I think.
Yeah, you know, it's a player that should be. If we win a trophy, you know, we're talking about. Are we going into kind of, I don't know, dare I say it, like legend status, top scorer?
Yeah, I would have. I would have
in
no
the
doubt
in the
about
Premier
that,
League era. If we get a trophy, you know, you're looking at John McGinn, you're looking at Ollie Watkins, you're looking at Martinez.
Yeah. I'd have no doubt about calling Ollie Watkins an Aston Villa legend if we were to win a trophy, 100%, because he'll be our top goal scorer.
We don't win. Yeah, it's more than a trophy. It's much more than that. So, yeah, like those are the conversations we need to be having. It's not looking at, oh yeah, but he should have scored. He should have scored 30 goals this season instead of double figures for another campaign. There's other stats I could bring up, but it's too long-winded. I think we've made a point. Again, like absolutely respect what people are saying in terms of the opinions about it, and I get it. He does miss some big chances.
Yeah, and it's irritating when you're in the stadium and he misses the chance. You think he could score? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and he
really
doesn't. Yeah, precisely. I'm there bashing the desk, and it probably shouldn't be, but it's just. I think you have to look at the wider point of not every player is going to be perfect. But Ollie Watkins has a lot of perfections. Other players have nowhere near as many perfections as Ollie Watkins, but we seem to blame him for the one thing that he maybe falls down on, which, by the way, is also a strength, goal scoring, because he's got 19 of them last season. He's in double digits already for this season, and there's games to go, 13.
I don't think he'll be a million miles off his tally from last year by the end of the season, by the way.
No, and if he gets 15, which is, I don't know how many goals he scored. Again, should know this. That's not many. I presume he gets 15 or thereabouts this season, maybe more. That's a good season, but as you said there, Dan, you need other players to be hitting double figures, and we're just not nowhere near enough. Those goals haven't been shared, so that's the problem for me. Not Watkins not getting 20 goals.
Okay, let's move on to another couple of questions. I've still got another 5 or 6, but I fear we're running out of time. There's still plenty of people watching. I worry too much about how we come across, and I'm worried about alienating too much of the audience by going against the opinions. Like
it's an opinion.
Lot of opinions will be
simple. It's an opinion.
Anti-Watkins. It'll be anti-top 5. It'll be the opposite tonight. It'll be no, you're writing us off too early. This is just how we feel. We've seen a lot. We see so many comments on the podcast that we do. It's difficult not to just kind of like not fight back, because that's the wrong phrase. And again, this is setting me up for like these two are just like
this. I think this podcast may be a bit like ranty or whatever, but that is because we're passionate about it. We have opinions about it, like everyone else does. Do you know what I mean? We're just giving our opinion on it. I like to think it's as balanced. Maybe the Watkins stuff wasn't particularly balanced, but I've tried to lay it out in terms of what it is. And
I would love.
They're just our opinions, and I respect what everyone else is saying as well, because that's what football is. It's literally a game of opinions.
I'm not saying that anybody is like wrong and you should never come to Villa Park again because you haven't got a clue, and we're right and you're wrong. How dare you tune into our opinions? I'm not saying that. I would love to win both of these games this week. Talk about, actually, you know what? Villa have got a chance for top 5. You know, they'll just beat Liverpool. And by the way, Ollie Watkins needed 4 goals to beat the record. That hat-trick against Chelsea, he's almost there. Like, this is all like perfectly feasible stuff, guys. But doesn't feel it at the moment. Right, let's try and move on then. I'm going to do 2 and 1 here.
But we are looking at the bigger picture. Sorry, we are looking at the bigger picture, though. We've said we could win 2 games and Watkins could break the record in a few days. But the point still remains. Villa's still going to have to go on a good run of form. Yeah,
it's got to start.
And what we said about Watkins was positive, actually. So,
right, Ant says, with the constant issues arising from our defensive errors, do you think Concert, Mings, and Dean are on borrowed time? And do you think McGinn and Ramsey's inconsistencies are making them fair game for replacement in the summer? And Sam says, as a follow-up, is Luca Dean's transfer value higher now than when we bought him? Now, probably not, just because of age and contract length. I think on form, yes, he's as good as he's been in the last few years. The first point about Concert, Mings and Dean specifically being on borrowed time, not as fussed about that at the moment, but you do feel like Villa are in need of a rebuilding process in the summer in some regard. Now, I'm not of the opinion of, well, McGinn's not good enough, he'll be the first one out the door, and that kind of opinion that some have. But we do still have a lot of players from almost like a bygone era, the Mings, Concerts, Cash, Dean, McGinn, some of those here just after promotion, some of them, was it just McGinn actually? McGinn and Mings from the Championship days. We've progressed a lot as a club since then, and so have they. But have they got enough in them to take us to the next level of the likes of a Rashford or an Asensio signing of like, okay, well, they're clearly like, allegedly a tier above that. So there will be some kind of rebuild. Is that the end of McGinn? Is it the end of Dean? I don't know. I would suggest things are going to have to change at some point.
Yeah, so I'm just don't know why my flag's waving. Spooking me out a little bit.
Got a radiator next to it.
No. Oh, radiators in my flat don't work.
They're not on anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I understand the point, but I think if you're building a squad, we always say you have to improve the 11, don't you? And that's the task. It's I think you can quickly leave yourself with a squad that just isn't deep enough, like a Tottenham, for example. They haven't. So they have been in Europe this season, but one thing is getting injuries, another thing is fielding a competitive team for different amount of games. Put it that way. So, for example, with Konsa and Mings, said it previously, we kept loads of clean sheets in that run when we got the Conference League, beat Brighton on the final day. One of the last positions I thought we were going to upgrade or look to upgrade, or our competition, would have been left centre back, where Mings has just had a fantastic rise under Emery again. I also thought the same for midfield, where I thought we were pretty well stacked, but Tielemans comes in and then takes it up another level as well. So, it's one of those where no position is safe. Jacob Ramsey could have been sold to Tottenham for £50 million or so, and that would have solved our PSR crisis. But Emery didn't want to do that. But in January, signs Rashford on huge wages. So, by the way, that isn't me saying that he's not happy with Ramsey or anything like that. I just mean, again, no position is safe. It's all about improving the team, even where it doesn't look like an improvement. Not that an improvement couldn't be made, but surely there's other things to do first. But that's not how the transfers work. It's not Football Manager or FIFA, where you just allocate a day of your own life to do all these different things. Time moves and different things are happening. I don't need to explain that. But in terms of players that have been here for a while, and yes, you can add more competition, but that doesn't mean that all of a sudden they don't have a position or a role or whatever. I'm not too sure if that was what the question was asking, but I think we've seen that, McGinn, in terms of his role, well, if we have a fully fit squad, he has obviously competition in Barkley, Onana, and Tielemans and Kamara, and then forward positions, Asensio, Rodgers, Ramsey, Bailey, all these different, McGinn is part of that. But football in 2025 means that you have 7 injuries every week. So you have to build a squad where every player in your team has to be good enough to start.
Remember the conversations we had in the summer about where all these players we saw are going to fit in, not midfield. So stacked. So many options in midfield. What's going to happen?
I think we've realised now that it's almost pointless putting out here's our best 11. It's what's your best 11 on Saturday the 15th of March, because do you know what I mean? No one knows. Nobody knows.
We don't play that weekend, so good stuff.
We probably will somehow. But yeah, that's my kind of point with it. It doesn't really answer the question. I get that, but yeah, like, for example, in the summer, I'm not going to pull out a figure because that'll don't take it literally, but so I'm not going to. But a big money signing, if we had to make it, do it at centre back, and maybe do it in Consa's position. Not saying that Consa's had a bad season, but that's how you improve your team. If we're conceding goals, we'll improve the thing that is going to help you concede less goals. Yeah. And that's in defence, it's in midfield, and it's a right back, it's a left back. All these different, we think Konsa is very indirect. And Konsa's a good player. I think have a good career for England, let alone Villa, or has already had a good career there. Torres and Mings. But as you say, it's more than just that. It's the structure of the team, how we're set up, and different elements of it as well. Is everyone in the team working to their full capacity out of possession, that sort of thing? And it's not just the centre backs. I'm not pinning it on one player or different players. But ultimately, competition for places it's absolutely vital and paramount. And you can look at it in a way of like, well, Kamara, we know we miss him badly. We've got Onana to come in. Oh, but he's injured as well. And he has been for a large part of this season and isn't, I don't think, ready to play at Kamara's level in that specific role. So that is kind of like a question mark of, well, you bring in Onana to become a modern number 6, but that Kamara's also got a bit of an injury record behind him as well.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're without Kamara and Onana. We don't have a player for that position. And we have McGinn, who's busy. And it sounds like disrespectful almost. Like McGinn is a very good player. And what he brings to the team is different to a Kamara and Onana. But you want something that is Kamara when Kamara's not there. Because that is apparently fundamental to us. And even then, we're conceding goals.
let's move on. We're going to do these next couple really quickly, and I'm going to actually check my watch, my time, and I'm going to give you 60 seconds per each one. We've kind of already spoken about one a little bit. Eleanor asks, would you take an FA Cup win? I mean, you could end it there, yes. And finishing where we currently are, it would get us to the Europa League and tick off the cup win that we're all desperate for.
Yeah, 100%. I
yes.
said that. I said that a few weeks ago.
Now we feel our grasp on the Champions League slipping away, and almost a realisation that is the Europa League as best we can do to win an FA Cup and still end up in the Europa League is absolutely, it's almost like the perfect solution to the problems that Villa have. So finish 10th, win the FA Cup and be in the Europa League with a chance to win the Europa League and get in the Champions League for the year after. Snap your hand off, mate.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, again, hypothetical. And we mentioned before, well, you wouldn't want us to finish 14th because that means something goes badly wrong. But in a hypothetical situation,
things kind of are going badly wrong a little bit.
Yeah, but in the nicest way possible, I'm not bothered about the league at all. If you said to me you've won the FA Cup and you're in the Europa League next season, that's fine, fantastic. That's as good a season as I could have wished for. Go deep in the Champions League, win a trophy, and you're in Europe next season with a chance to win a European trophy as well. Like, banging. That's exactly what I wanted. So not bothered if you finish 9th, 10th, or 11th, or anywhere else. Like, it is what it is. So, but obviously, you can't pin yourself on the FA Cup. And just finally, again, I think the FA Cup is played the week before the season ends, which is bizarre. I guess my point's a bit redundant here, but I was thinking, maybe you can go for that with the league on the back burner as well, of like, you got 2 chances at the end of the season, but actually it's then the final game of the season. So as in FA Cup last game of the season, like normal, that would have been like a very, very pressured game. If that means, if we finish 9th, and
let's say you lost the FA Cup, but is it Man United last or Spurs?
Old Trafford, yeah.
So if you're like, okay, well, we lost the FA Cup, boo. But if we beat Man United, we definitely finish 6th. You would kind of go, okay, well, we've had 2 stabs at getting into Europe. Whereas if the FA Cup is the final game and the season is over and you don't win, you haven't got the Man United fixture to try and save the season. It's massive pressure at Wembley. I'd still back us, by the way, to win that one-off game. Like, I'd be all pro Villa massively, like we could beat anybody. But the pressure of like, we don't even have that kind of safety net. Or, well, we've already finished 6th. Season's over. We're in the FA Cup, we get trophy. But the Europa League part's irrelevant because we've already got it anyway. It's again a different dynamic.
Yeah, and then just a final point: if we were to get to the FA Cup final, that would be the Tottenham game that gets moved, and I don't know, potentially gets moved in the week before the final day of the season. So, like, Spurs played Man City on the Tuesday after we played Liverpool. So, ideal situation: FA Cup final on the Saturday, I think, and then I don't know, Spurs Tuesday at home, final home game of the season. Then it's Old Trafford. So, just a bit of information.
God, let's just get to Cardiff first, shall we? Final penultimate question before we do a mini Liverpool preview. Crazy, an hour into this episode. Hopefully you're enjoying it. John asks, not you, John. Unless a player scores a better goal than that Duran goal against Everton before the end of the season, brackets, quite unlikely, will it not be so negative, John? Will it not be quite awkward at the end of season awards when a player no longer plays for us, wins goal of the season, or are Duran's goals now void? What happens with that?
Surely a goal from this season. You would. I just don't think they'd make a song and dance about it. I don't think there'll be better goal than
the bottom of an article or something.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be a better goal scored by a Villa player this season in the league. Is it in the league? Is that how it works? Don't actually know.
I don't know, actually. You'd think it should be all competitions, but I mean, we so rarely go any distance in a competition that all of our goals this season will be Premier League ones.
If it's not Duran's in the league, you'd probably give it to Duran against Leipzig. So either way.
Or Bayern, just for the magnitude.
Yeah. I don't know, but I can't think off the top of my head a goal that's better than that this season. And it would take something special for the rest.
Regardless of the quality of the goal, it'll be the winner in the FA Cup final anyway. It will be the goal of the season, so let's not worry about that just now.
Yeah.
Liverpool preview then. TJ asks, would we rest Rodgers and JJ and start Rashford and Asensio? And we'll do those in a second as we talk about a predicted 11 for Liverpool, which we'll do in a sec. Just on the game generally, this will be far less detailed than an actual preview, of course. Do you feel... I mean, this maybe counters everything that we've said in the first part of this show about how difficult our fixtures are. Do you feel that playing against the better teams helps Villa in some ways because we can counter them? And also there's a small part of Liverpool that are get-at-able. It's just
Yeah,
but you know what I mean?
well,
They can be got at.
well, I was thinking earlier when I was having what was I doing? I think I was having cereal.
Fair play.
What was even my point here? Oh yeah, and I was thinking, well, you know what? Liverpool are probably as fragile as they have been this season right now. So it's
Yeah.
probably the best time to play them. You know, ideally, we would have more players and we'd be in better
Yeah.
form and all of those things. But if we're going to base it off, you know, you're playing the league leaders,
At least
probably
we're
the
at
best
home.
time to play them. They, you know, they were clearly affected by that Everton goal, the late goal by Tarkowski in the Wolves match. The Cunha's goal really, you know, shocked them a little bit, and I mean, really, Wolves should have taken something from the game. So I'm hoping that they kind of come into that the mentality of like, oh my god, like we haven't won the league at all yet. Like Arsenal are 4 points behind us or whatever it is. And it's kind of a rocking Villa Park atmosphere. If we can get the first goal, or just be in the game really up until the last 20 minutes, then yeah, why not? We can definitely get something from it.
I don't know.
But yeah,
I feel like that goes against us.
what goes against us?
Like I think when you say we're still in the game, what is that to you? 0-0 or
Oh,
1-1?
but I think it's different when you're playing Liverpool at home and maybe you're 1-0 down than playing Ipswich when you're 1-0 down or it's 1-1. I just think every misplaced pass, I mean, we'd still have a groan to it if we played Liverpool, don't get me wrong, but it's less kind of like, oh my god, we need a goal now. Like we have to score. And it was like the 80th minute.
Yeah.
You know, it felt a bit like frantic and against Ipswich, whereas against Liverpool, I think it would be more kind of like, well, you know, it's the league leaders, we're the underdogs here. Any sort of attack, I think will kind of threaten from, because that's just how it works sometimes when you're playing in transition and different things. So, yeah, I think this game probably suits us better than most others, and I'm looking forward to it. In kind of I remember saying in the pre-match for Ipswich something along the lines of the worst case scenario is that we've won all on like 60 minutes or something like that, because we've been in that situation so many times this season, which can't find that winning goal.
You almost know what's coming, don't you?
Yeah, you can almost prepare for us to have dropped another 2 points. Whereas Liverpool, no one can tell me that we've dropped 2 points if we draw. You know, drop 2 points, in the race for Champions League if you want to feel like that. But in a single game against the best team, arguably in Europe right now, the best thing we can do is compete. We know we've got injuries. If we can get something from the game, fantastic. But Chelsea, kind of on the other point, is a must-win if we've got any aspiration of finishing fifth.
Yeah. I mean, like I've said before about looking in games at couples and taking away the context of who it was and home and away and all that. If you'd have said Ipswich and Liverpool, Villa come out of it with 4 points, I'd have said, yeah, fantastic. Because we'll beat Ipswich and we'll draw to Liverpool and they'll be good results. Now you've done it in the reverse and you've only drawn to Ipswich. You have to beat Liverpool to maintain that this is a good kind of run. If you can call 2 games a run, which you can't. That's massive pressure, isn't it? It's almost silly to put that on us. I think because Liverpool can be so ruthless. I know in the second half against Wolves, I didn't even have a shot on target. The Plymouth game, Everton, etc. I mean, you can say maybe they're a little bit wounded and they'll just come out and destroy somebody. And unfortunately for us, that's Villa, obviously. But I think if it's a game where it's still in it and it's a bit cagey, saw something earlier about Salah scoring 50 penalties for Liverpool. Firstly, I can just get them that offer. I don't know if I've seen Villa have 50 penalties in my lifetime. Never one player scoring that many. If that happened, they're in the game, Salah penalty. Okay, we're going to lose from this position. They'll get another. I think the only way for Villa to get anything here, you've got to go at them. You can't have what we had a couple of seasons ago or last year when I think Trent had loads of space, did what he wanted, so much respect to go on, mate, you just go and run the game. You've got to be at them. Got to score quick, score early. If Villa are going to do anything here, this isn't going to be a 1-0 clean sheet, obviously. It's going to be a 3-2 win, a 4-3 win. You have to embrace that chaos, I think.
And I think that, weirdly, I think it helps us. Almost being a team that we don't. Being a team that doesn't keep clean sheets and is not.
I think trying to be cagey and keep it going till the latter stages and maybe nick something that benefits Liverpool because they're more likely to nick it.
Because then they have like full control, all that stuff.
I think
it helps that we know we could go 1-0 down, but I don't think that will change the atmosphere or anything like that. I think it will still be every time Rodgers turns McAllister and gets him booked or whatever. That's going to get us up, and we'll get chances. I'm sure about it. We do make chances. We've just got to take them. And with Rashford playing, who goes without saying, will be bang up for this game, or hopefully all of the games. I'm not trying to make a rubbish headline there. but this game more than any, he's got a real point to prove in this one because, on TV, probably going to be starting, I'd have thought. Yeah, different reasons why. And then Asensio as well, possibly too. We're kind of overlapping into the predicted 11 now, but if those two players are both starting, I think we have a real chance to score goals, and that is ultimately our best chance. I mean, obviously we have to score goals to win games, but we're going to have to score 2 or 3, aren't we, to get anything? Maybe to get anything out of the game. Yeah, possibly. So, Liverpool score goals. No shock there. There's no shock if Ipswich score goals against Villa. It is what it is. Villa aren't a team that keep clean sheets, and the kind of quicker that we realise that, I think we have realised that now. Again, we need to keep more clean sheets. We know that, but the point is that we're not now suddenly going to do that in the next 13 games and keep 6 or keep
very
half
unlikely anyway.
Hopefully we do, but it'd be unwise to suggest that. So therefore, we need to score more goals, and we know that we can. It's just about other players chipping in as well as Watkins.
Yeah. I've got an 11, which at the moment has question marks on the right-hand side.
Who's that?
So it's a new signing, mate. We've got Martinez in goal, Garcia, Disasi, Mings and Dean as your back 5, McGinn, Tielemans as your midfield 2 because they're the only options. We've got Rashford starting on the left, who's looked bright, had lots of shot-creating actions in the game against Ipswich and looked bright, so he deserves a start. Rodgers in behind we have at the moment, but obviously the question we just had is whether we should rest him. Maybe pop Asensio in that hole there. Watkins up front, obviously, again, no other choices and no one I'd rather have there anyway. I've only left that right-hand side blank because it's Asensio, it's Bailey, it's Marlon, are probably your 3 options. When I did the graphic this afternoon, we didn't know about Kamara. If he was miraculously fit and fit enough to play in midfield, I'd probably be having McGinn play on the right-hand side, would be the team I'd like to see. Just for the work rate and the energy, etc. Of those options, Asensio, Marlon and Bailey, if it is between those 3 to play on the right-hand side, is Asensio the best pick, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's real quality. It's just any time in which he has the ball, the game seems to slow down a little bit, and you just know whatever he does next is going to be the right thing. It's hard to explain. And I know it's only been kind of a short amount of time, so we need to see him play over the course of an hour to 90 minutes and that sort of thing before you kind of pass real judgment. But anything I've seen of him so far, his touch is just perfect. He should have scored, but again, it's that fine line in football between, as we said earlier, in Watkins. If he takes his 2 chances, he's the match winner and everyone's favourite footballer of the day, man of the match. Same for Asensio. Again, if he takes that chance, it's like a perfect start to his career. And so, for me, Asensio and Rashford either side. You can make changes after 60 minutes and bring on Marlon, bring on Bailey, bring on Ramsey. I'd start Rodgers still. I just think, why not? Again, I don't know the players' fitness levels compared to what Unai does, so I'm basing it on what I'm seeing, and I don't see him slowing down too much, to be honest. I think, obviously,
he looks tired to me. If you were resting Rodgers,
I get that, but Rodgers I just think it's so fundamentally important to
I agree,
team.
but
and it just seems wrong to rest him. Yeah, but the fixture schedule can't give us rest. I don't know how to put it, but what are we supposed to do? Just play weaker, play.
Well, if you didn't play Rodgers,
go on.
If you didn't play Rodgers and Asensio plays the 10 and Marlon plays on the right-hand side, is that not what we've made signings for, to be able to rotate and change things up?
But I'm saying...
What was the point bringing them in?
But rotate it when you need to do it. And so far, I don't think... Maybe you bring Rodgers off after an hour and don't play him a full 90. But I'm sure he can play the first half against Liverpool. I just think that's the way to do it. And maybe we have more transitions and opportunities to counter-attack in the first half because it's, a stalemate or whatever. Get a player booked early on. I wouldn't be surprised to see McAllister get 2 yellows in the game, and Kanate should have been sent off against Wolves. Yeah. So I think that's an avenue, and it's something that we would not be taking for. I think it's Rodgers in any game is important. So again, it's up to Unai. Like if the player is almost in the red zone, then maybe bring him out. But I'm viewing it on what I'm seeing, and I don't think he looks a little bit tired, but not to the point where it's like, I get him off. He's like negatively affecting us. He could have scored the winner in the 93rd minute or whatever it was against whoever we played, like Ipswich. And again, the narrative's different. So for me, that's your front 3, and then the rest of it picks itself. Again, this is before Unai speaks to the press, so
True,
maybe
yes.
maybe there's an update on different players, but that's what we're going with for now.
Yeah, the presser is tomorrow. So if anyone's listening to this on Tuesday, there might be extra context that probably someone else is injured. Who knows? Fingers crossed, touch wood, that they aren't. I've got a couple of stats that I'm going to read out while, John, you write down your prediction for this game so we can finally wrap up this podcast after an hour and 15 minutes. A couple of stats. Firstly, from AVFC Stato, big fan. Villa are unbeaten in their last 6 games that Boubacar Kamara has missed in the Premier League, winning 3 and drawing 3. I think the 3 draws were the most recent of those. So, no Kamara, no problem based on that one. Little problem stats I found, or potentially problem stats. Emery's record against Liverpool, John, 12 games, 1 win, 4 draws, 7 defeats. 11 of those games against Jurgen Klopp specifically. So I'm hoping it's a Klopp problem rather than a Liverpool problem. However, he also lost the 1 game versus Arne Slot this season, the 2-0 defeat, which, if memory serves me correctly, we didn't play that badly. The 1 win, bit of a quiz for you. Do you know what that game was?
Either a Europa League game with Alex, what's his name? The left back with Alberto Moreno. Don't know why I said that. Or was it a Champions League semi-final? Maybe like second leg or something. I'm not sure.
It was the Europa League final against.
Forget
Liverpool.
What I just said then. Europa League final. Yeah, I remember that one.
Interestingly enough, AVFC Stato pointed me on this one as well. That was his first game against Liverpool. So he won his first game against Liverpool, and then the following 11, he's not won. So not a great record. Ultimately means nothing, but I'm just filling a bit of time. As a flip side to that, Marcus Rashford's goal-scoring record against Liverpool specifically, 7 goals in 19 appearances in all competitions in his Manchester United career, and all 7 of those goals coming from Man United at home against Liverpool. So Villa
not
at
Villa
home.
Park.
No, not a Villa Park, but at a home stadium against
I know.
a team that he scores goals against. I mean, 7 in 19 isn't like amazing, but it's
United have a good record against Liverpool, considering like the difference in level between the two.
Yeah.
By the way, just last season's game, I have no recollection of it whatsoever. I don't know what happened apart from the 2 Duran goals. Whatever happened before, no idea. Genuinely have no idea.
The post-match show would have been all about Duran, wouldn't it?
I can remember, I don't know, a goal against QPR in 2017 or whatever. But this game, I have nope. It's completely on my head.
You're asking the wrong person here. I can barely remember the last game, never mind last season's. Right, that should be enough time for you to have written down a score prediction. We do keep track of these. I'm not going to keep saying it. We're crap at this part. Ready to reveal in 3, 2, 1. 3-2 victory for me. 2-2 draw for John Townley. As we've said, the context all the way through this, Villa will have to score at least 2 goals to get anything, I think. And I've just gone for the optimistic. Let's just win a game. Because Villa need to put a run together, John. And if they do, it has to start here. Rashford hat-trick.
We spoke about that for quite a while, about half an hour, I think it was. I mean, apologies if this has been ranty. I just feel like I've had a lot to say. Not in a short space of time, an hour and a half nearly. But it feels like we've hit a kind of crescendo in the season where we know what we are. But it's kind of just talking about.
It's just about a short enough period, isn't it, to kind of look ahead to kind of a conclusion now, like a third of the season. This is what we need to do.
Yeah, it's a big enough sample size to evaluate what we are and what we probably will be for the rest of the season, and what that probably will be equals to. That's kind of how I'm trying to sum it up. And it might not sound positive, but I'm happy. I'm pleased with where we're going. In terms of what we are this season, like
bigger picture.
It's not bigger. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just come the summer. I mean, PSR, but I'll probably stop there. But put it this way: if we're in a European competition that isn't the Champions League, next season we can win a European trophy, and that's what I'm thinking about, and that's why I'm being positive.
Absolutely.
After winning, FA Cup this season, European Cup a European trophy, sorry, not European Cup next season, and that's where I'm at. If we can win 9 out of 13 games, then we've got a chance of Champions League for sure. But I'm not talking about that again. Hopefully people enjoyed it. It's more of for me anyway, getting things off my chest and kind of not a reality check, but rather than just saying, "Oh, we're good enough to do this," or "We're bad, so we're not going to do that." I think it's more sort of trying to keep it level. But
I think we've done a decent job of getting our points across.
We do.
Yeah, we do. I mean, all we can do is give our opinion, and that's what we've done. And hopefully, people
I can
have
see on the
enjoyed
right
this.
of my screen, it's just gone up to 551 now. That's not viewers, it's 552. It's comments. So
Five, really? Is it that many? Wow.
yeah,
God.
so I haven't looked at the comments for this
Oh,
episode.
like you've left the tab unopened. Okay, fair
Yeah,
enough. Wise choice, John.
555.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in with the live stream. Really appreciate it. We always do a longer episode when it's live because of the interaction with the live comments. Just a quick thank you to everyone who watched or listened to this episode, by the way, and got to the end. Thank you very much. And those that watched the Ipswich post-match. It's like 6,500 people watched that on YouTube, and I was saying on it like, oh, we're looking to get like 2,000. So that helps the channel kind of have a nice, consistent viewership figures. If you have big highs and big lows, no one watches. YouTube doesn't push you out there. You want it to kind of be a nice, consistent, level-headed approach to things.
Is your F5 button working still?
Got it on my iPad, my phone, my mum's phone. No, thank you for tuning in. Massively appreciated. If you can leave a comment on the YouTube video when this video is no longer live, that's also very helpful, as is subscribing on YouTube. That helps the channel grow, and the bigger the channel is, the more we can do, basically, in a roundabout way. If you listened on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, hopefully you've enjoyed it on your commute, your gym session, wherever you've listened to this mammoth episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. John, thank you very much for joining me. Thanks everyone who watched along live. Thanks to those who listened on catch up. And we'll see you Wednesday night for the Aston Villa 3, Liverpool 2 post-match reaction. Bye-bye.
We will be there.